Florida home insurance hell just got worse. Home insurance premiums have doubled for some Florida homeowners. Florida's been rocked so badly by this home insurance crisis that I may have to sell, up, and move. My insurance doubled every year we lived in our house. Moved into our first home in 2020, where the home insurance was $1,200. 2021, it jumped to $2,400. In 2022, it jumped to $5,400. Who can afford that? Well, they can't, and they left Florida this spring. And they are not alone. There are lots of folks that are leaving Florida because they can't afford it anymore. Some folks are being financially squeezed right out of the Sunshine State, especially those who are on a fixed income, who find themselves with a monthly policy premium that's more expensive than their mortgage payment. There are lots of folks that can't afford to live in Florida anymore. And yet not everyone is being squeezed out of Florida. But you don't have to be squeezed out of Florida for an insurer to just cold stone drop you. And that is exactly what Progressive Insurance has done today. Progressive is dropping 100,000 home insurance policies in Florida.
Another major insurer, Progressive, is dumping over 100,000 policies across the state. Last year, the company announced it would not renew certain homeowners insurance policies in Florida, saying they are rebalancing their hurricane exposure. Several homeowners already got their letters, like Michelle out of the Jacksonville area, who said, quote, "Yes, our policy just expired on 4/15. No other insurance company will write us a policy except for Citizens. Save about $1,500 though." Citizens was created as an insurer of last resort and has also been trying to cut policies that it had to take on from other insurers that stopped doing business in the state.
And experts advise homeowners to keep an eye on your mailbox. And while Progressive dropping their policyholders is not exactly great news, it only gets worse. Citizens Property Insurance is scaring, or at least confusing the hell out of many policyholders with its latest depopulation letter right now. Because Citizens Property Insurance does not want to be on the hook for the potential financial loss of hurricane season. Hello friends, welcome back. You're watching Chris Igoe. If you find value, please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up. It helps the channel grow tremendously. And the only thing that I don't want to grow tremendously is the risk in front of hurricane season. Yet, forecasters predict an extremely active 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. And while we've dodged a bullet on many of the hurricanes that we were supposed to get, an average hurricane season produces 14 named storms, of which 7 lead to hurricanes and 3 become major cyclones. And last year we got hit. There were 3 major hurricanes that formed among 7 hurricanes and 20 named storms. The 4th greatest number of named storms since 1950. The most damaging of those hurricanes was Idalia, which tore up the west coast of Florida and made landfall as a Category 3 hurricane. And the only thing that I hope that reverts back to 1950 numbers is home prices and inflation. But what I want and what I get are 2 different things. And last week, AccuWeather said there was a 10 to 15% chance of 30 or more named storms in the 2024 hurricane season, which begins June 1st and runs to November 30th. And while climate change is threatening the very existence of some parts of Florida, the cost is already being felt by Floridians. At the end of 2022, the average annual property insurance premiums had already risen to more than $4,200 in Florida, which is 3 times the national average. I recently spoke to an old friend, a retired office manager in the automotive industry who has lived in Florida for the last 30 years. And she called me to talk about it because she's being financially squeezed out of her home. And she was terrified that if her home insurance premiums continued to escalate, continues to go up further, she's going to have to sell up and move to another state. And unfortunately, she's not alone. I read your comments. There are lots of folks out there that are suffering due to the home insurance nightmare here in Florida. Right along with many other Floridians, my friend's private insurance premium more than doubled. In the past 2 years, it became her largest monthly bill, bigger than her mortgage payment. The inflation on home insurance has skyrocketed so bad that her premium has increased, that her insurance premium went from $750 back when she purchased the home in 1999 to a little over $3,000 in 2022, before jumping to damn near $4,700 in 2023. Well, unfortunately for her, it's 2024, and I don't suspect she will be able to afford the premium moving forward. Despite the fact the area in Florida in which she lives in Pinellas County has not taken a direct hit by a hurricane in over 100 years. And this is not some waterfront mansion. This is a small home. But she got lucky. She was able to get insurance through the state-funded Citizens Property Insurance, which, at least for last year, brought her premiums down to $2,000 annually, which she could afford, up until she can't. Because in 2024, everything is more expensive than 2023. Meanwhile, Citizens Property Insurance cannot pass the buck fast enough. They are terrified of the imminent risk of hurricane season. They are terrified of the risk. And the risk they're afraid of is when we get hit with a big storm, which we will, the risk will be passed on to almost every other policyholder in the future, which is no bueno. And I read your comments. If you've paid off your home, if you don't have a mortgage, you can self-insure. And many folks are electing to do so. And if you've got the money to replace your house in the event that it's wiped off the map, well then God bless you. But I also speak to lots of homeowners that I know for certain cannot afford to do that, and they're electing to do it anyway, because they simply can't afford it. And I know this does not apply to every single homeowner out there, but I would never elect to not have health insurance because I'm healthy today. Because I know for a fact that I can't self-insure my family's future health. And I suspect the odds of getting hit with a major hurricane are significantly higher than getting a brain tumor, which I obviously don't want for anyone. But Citizens Property Insurance doesn't want a financial brain tumor either. They want to de-risk their portfolio. They are looking to depopulate their clients. And by depopulate, what they really mean is pass the buck on to a different private insurer. But Citizens Insurance is so desperate to get this risk off their balance sheet in front of hurricane season that they're trying to remove customer policies that haven't even begun yet. And right now today, they're sending out letters to policy owners that are scaring the hell out of everyone, confusing the hell out of everyone. And the letters contain confusing, questionable premium estimates, which ensure the policy owner must take the private offer. And Ron DeSantis and the state have made no secret of the fact they don't want Citizens Property Insurance Corporation to remain anywhere near its current 1.8 million policies. And just so we're on the same page here, they're removing customers whose policies have not started yet, confusing the heck out of people who get the depopulation notice. Meanwhile, national home prices soar even higher in February, despite the fact that mortgage interest rates have skyrocketed. Home prices jumped 6.4% year over year, according to the S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller National Home Price Index. It marked another increase after the prior month's annual gain of 6%. And that is the fastest rate of price growth since November of 2022. And yet, consumer confidence hit its lowest level since mid-2022 in March, as many folks wake up to the reality that unemployment and inflation are skyrocketing. And I know that the latest economic news is always spun to prove to be a massive win for the powers that be. But just because they put lipstick on a pig doesn't mean you should kiss it. And when the consumer is forced to choose between feeding themselves and their children versus making a mortgage payment, what do you think they're most likely to do? If you want to know what your home is worth right now, then please click the link up above or go to igohomegroup.com and we will connect right away. And please remember that denial is not just a river in Egypt. Hope is not a balance sheet item. I hope you're still sitting on a metric shit ton of home equity, but I also know equity is not real until it's realized. So please don't wait until there's a financial gun to your head. And always remember, there is always a solution and the future looks bright.